And we now move to the next session of the day, the subject being the reach of cricket for the blind. Have we evolved ourselves as a revolution? And moderating this session is going to be Shri Raymond Moxley, Secretary General WBC. May I please request him to join us on stage, and the panelists for the same are going to be Mr. George Abraham, Founder WBC ACBI, Ms. Rudy Bhatia, Strategic Program Lead CSR IndusInd Bank, Dr. Mahantesh GK, who's already here with us on stage, Mr. E. John David, Director Global Development WBC and General Secretary of CABI, Mr. Bhavani Prasad, First Vice President WBC, Shri Pawan Ghimire, Director of Finance WBC. May I please have the pleasure of requesting to join us on stage? Thank you. And as they join us, I hand over the session to our moderator, Raymond Moxley, Secretary General, WBC.
Thank you very much. We're just waiting for a few more guests to come on stage, and then we'll begin.
Sir, Mike.
Well, thank you very much, and it was very interesting to hear the different perspectives on journalism and the treatment of the reporting on sport and the inclusion of sport, particularly for people with disability, in the media. So thank you very much. I hope that this session will be equally as engaging. I would like to start by thanking my fellow panellists for coming up, and I think maybe the best title for this would be From Humble Beginnings, because blind cricket, and I'll go back to the very first history of blind cricket, and in fact it's celebrating its 100th year this year. In 1922 is recognised as the official birth of blind cricket. It was in Melbourne, Victoria, Australia, where the game first began at the Victorian Institute for the Blind. However, some recent archival researchers discovered that there were even news reports of blind cricket happening in the 1880s in Australia, 1880s in Australia, so potentially a history that goes back even another 50 years prior to then. But yes, so from 1922, the game developed from very small beginnings. It grew throughout Australia, but independent of that, it grew in other parts of the world. And we're now sitting here with a 10-member World Blind Cricket Council. It will be expanding soon, as we'll get to a little later. But I'd like to ask George first to speak a little about I guess you did cover a little bit in the introduction, George, but what inspired you with regard to setting up WBC and then I guess the beginnings of WBC.
Right. Thank you, Raymond. I decided to work with people who are blind in 1989, and that took me around the country as a kind of a study of what was happening in the domain of life with blindness in India. And it so happened I was in Dehradun at the National Institute of the Visually Handicapped, which was the name then. It's got a new name now. And I was staying in the guest house, and one morning I was woken up to the sound of cricket commentary, and I heard a voice saying, Imran Khan runs into bowl to Desmond Haynes. And this was around 6:30 in the morning. So I jumped out and I said, wow, Imran Khan and Desmond Haynes in this Doon Valley. I rushed out, virtually in my night clothes, and when I reached the ground, which was just outside the guest house, I could hear a commentator. It was the wicketkeeper who was partially sighted. I suddenly realized that the commentary had nothing to do with what was happening in the middle. The ball was going to the leg side. He said the ball has gone to the offside. When the ball hit the wicket, he said, oh, it's a wonderful boundary. Though the commentary was not accurate, there was a lot of excitement and passion. And when I went closer, I discovered that the physical training instructor of NIVH, it was ML Mishra, he was the umpire. And he said, these boys wake up in the morning, they come and play cricket, they go for breakfast, they come back and play cricket, they go for school, they come back and play cricket, they go for lunch, they come back and play cricket. And finally, in the evening when I can't see anything, I tell them, please, let's stop now because I can't be an umpire anymore. So that was the extent of passion these boys showed. And standing there, I realized a few things, 4 things to be precise. Number one, I realized that blind kids had devised a very innovative way of playing cricket using sound, and they played it well and they enjoyed it. Secondly, I realized that cricket could actually teach blind people a lot of lessons in life, like discipline, like it takes practice to become perfect, leadership, strategy planning, teamwork, being competitive, and so on and so forth. Thirdly, I realized that in a country like India, where cricket is the first or second or third religion, the moment you have cricket, go to Bombay or Karnataka or Delhi, you see kids playing cricket and you'll find people standing around and watching. So wherever the game is played, there is a following. And I just felt that if blind people were given the opportunity of playing cricket on various platforms, this could be a wonderful way of projecting talent and ability and potential of people who are blind. And fourthly, I realized that this game could be taken to the global stage. And so we had the national tournaments in 1990, 91. And the other thing I realized was cricket for the blind is not about charity. It is about ability and talent. It is about passion. It needs to be sponsored rather than donated to. So it's not about cricket for the blind has to be supported by sponsorship rather than through charity and donation, because you are supporting the talent and ability and not the disability. So that was also in the back of my mind. So we found it a little difficult to raise money, but we did, with Tata Steel sponsoring the first event. And slowly we moved on. And in 1993, when we reached Ahmedabad for a national finals, I kind of took the courage in my hands and said, in 5 years' time, we're going to raise the bar. We will have a World Cup. And then, of course, we started getting in touch with various countries. 7 countries came to Delhi in 1996. These countries were Australia, New Zealand from down under, South Africa, then Pakistan and India from the subcontinent, Sri Lanka also from the subcontinent, and England. 2 days of heated discussion. We standardized the rules. We had a major 1.5 days of these 2 days were spent discussing the ball. Everybody wanted their ball to be used. And I remember on the second day of the conference, just before lunch, Raymond, saying, are we here with the dream of having a World Cup, having international cricket, or are we just wanting to hold on to our ball? And so let's take a call. We also need to recognize that balls used in certain countries are expensive to make and purchase, while there are a number of countries in the room where affordability also was an issue. And post-lunch, I still remember, Mr. John Puhara from New Zealand stood up and said, I would like to propose the Indian ball for the first World Cup. And immediately somebody else seconded, and I don't know how people over lunch changed their minds. And it was a unanimous discussion. Everybody agreed that there was need. I think everybody saw the big picture. Everybody wanted an international game. They wanted World Cup. And they realized that the ball can be an ongoing discussion. And over time, maybe an appropriate ball can be developed. So that was the spirit with which the World Blind Cricket Council was formed. And over the years, of course, it's now become a company, World Blind Cricket Limited. But I think the aspirations was that we would have regular international cricket, and this cricket would be a vehicle to actually enable blind people to funnel their way into the mainstream society. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, George. That's very interesting that, so basically there was no blind cricket in India pre-1990, is that fair to say?
No, that's not fair to say, because blind cricket was being played. That's again an interesting thing, because in the 1950s and 60s, cricket was mainly followed in India on radio. And radio commentators were legends at that point of time. Today we don't know who the radio commentators are, but in the 60s and 70s, there were stars like Sachin Tendulkar and Gavaskar, even Anand Setalwad and Suresh Saraiya and people like Balu Alaganan. These were all, Jasdev Singh, these were all legends. The average citizen of India knew these commentators. And in many schools for the blind, it was seen that people were rolling tins, empty tins, and hitting them with sticks. And this was as way back in the 1950s and 60s. And it was later that somebody decided that, if we produce a ball with ball bearings which make sound, it's all about sound and noise. So, it's possible to have the game. So the origins will not be as way back as 1880, as it was, or 1922 as it was in Australia. But yes, we have a history. And I think in 1990 was when we got organized.
Okay, thanks. It was very interesting, though, to see, and I'll maybe ask Mahentesh to comment on this, but amazing to see that from 1990, from blind cricket being officially set up and supported in India to only 8 years later, India hosts a World Cup, and now Mahentesh, you've led CABI for a number of years, and you've hosted more international blind cricket tournaments, I believe, than any other country. What differentiates India from other countries? What makes you and your organisation so special to do what you do on the world stage to give this opportunity?
Thank you, Moxley. Being part of the blind cricket from the beginning, like from 1990 as a player, and much before that, in my school, exactly like what George sir said, when he saw in Dehradun, in my school, before I went to the school, I had the privilege of playing cricket. It was not cricket for the blind, but it was just with my friends in my neighborhood. Subsequently, when I went to blind school, I carried the cricket gears along, and I don't say I introduced cricket there, but cricket already existed in all of us. So that spirit continued, especially cricket commentary. Always I say the language, English I speak, and a little bit of Hindi comes from cricket commentary, though I went on to do my literature in English. So cricket commentary has been a great source of inspiration and motivation for visually impaired across. Maybe like Australia, we have not recorded when blind started playing cricket. Probably first test I think when India played in 1930, 32. Around that time, moment radio commentary started, blind must have got introduced to the game. So they must have played in their own style and fashion. Ever since we took over the management of cricket for the blind, after got the responsibility of he passed the mantle to me, Nagesh, and my friends Chandru, David, Uday, some of us are here. It was our passion, our commitment, for having enjoyed the game of cricket under George sir leadership. We wanted to take it to the next level because he worked hard, worked so hard, and Ranganath sir is here. And I was part of it. I had seen, and always I believed that yes, it has to be on a sponsorship model, and we have to go out. So unlike other programs for blind, it is all institutional based, it is all residential based. But this is one game which pushes you out, which helps you to go out onto the ground and play. Also, it pushes out to go meet sponsors like IndusInd Bank and medias like what Mr. Lokpally was telling. You need to have hounds. Exactly, I had watched what George sir was doing, what Siddharth was doing in 1998. So I completely replicated it in Bangalore, to some extent in other parts. So it was our endeavor that for having India hosted the first World Cup, second World Cup, Moxley, when I met you in Dubai, that's when me and Nagesh had just taken over the cricket and Cabby was created. Blindly, we said we will host the first T20 World Cup. I'm sure you remember it. We didn't know how to go about it. I was just part of the first and second World Cup. Knew few nuances of it, knew the struggles of it, how George sir had to raise resources, how hard it was. It was not easy, but we wanted to revive the game, not only in India, globally. Because as you rightly said, India has a role to play in the global development. So we decided to stay committed. Samarthanam should play a patron role. Cabby should focus on the game development. And Samarthanam would look for the resources. Because we did not want to create one more resource eating department in the organization. Thanks to my team in Samarthanam, I lean on them, leverage their availability. Sometimes Kumar, who brings money to Samarthanam, says, you forget other programs. There are other programs also in Samarthanam. For me, cricket always supersedes. So, and I have pushed my team. To be honest with you, friends, for this World Cup, we haven't even got 50% of the required resources. But we are committed to host this. So my CFO is here. He doesn't fight with me for cricket. He is also Mr. Anjanappa. So my trustees, Uday and Busengoda, they are also cricketers. Consciously, strategically, people with me in Samarthanam are cricketers or cricket maniacs. So their support is ensured. And whenever Cricket for the Blind globally needed our help, Samarthanam is there, Cabby is there. We'll continue to uphold the spirit of the game and the reach, if you ask, like the game is definitely spreading. There are 10 full countries part of World Blind Cricket. There are few countries waiting to get their membership. So we need to guide them and get them in onboarded. Like Afghanistan, if that unfortunate crisis was not there, they would have been here. Couple of requests coming from Iran and few other countries. So definitely we'll continue to work hard. I think resources is most important. So I was just talking to Moxley how we can get that money and how World Blind Cricket can continue to grow. Nationally, just to give a bit of information about Cabby, we are there in 30 states and union territories across India, including Northeast. On an average, about 1,000 blind play cricket in our country per state. So what is the number? Minimum 30,000 play blind cricket. I am sure million blind would be following cricket in general, and at least 500,000 or 250,000 knows that blind play cricket. Though we want it to grow, and entire 130 crore people, 1,300 million people should know blind cricket in our country. That is our, and every blind in our country who wants to play cricket should get a chance to play. Whether it is men, women, we don't discriminate. So thanks to IndusInd, they're also supporting us to host Women's National, which is going to be in January 4th, Women Nationals in Bangalore. 16 state teams have confirmed, not 16 women teams, 16 teams, state teams have confirmed their participation. Because we limited, first 16 only will be allowed. So 13th will be the finals. So, and as George sir mentioned, we are part of the World Games in Birmingham. That's a great development. I think that would give a good boost, Moxley. I think we should go and advocate blind cricket to other nations who would be participating there. Yeah, thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Mahentesh. So I'll now move to Rudy. I just you're hearing a little bit about it, the passion that has existed for blind cricket, for people with disability to play sport. Your role, obviously, is a very important one from our perspective. But I'm watching, and I've observed you even in the audience here. You have a genuine interest, and it comes through. A genuine interest and a genuine passion. It's not just being polite. You have a real interest in here. What do you think drives your interest in working in this space, and what do you think, as a corporate, you get out of supporting initiatives like Cabby and blind cricket?
Thanks, Raymond, for this question. Yes, this is one question that we keep getting all the time. There are two types of activities one can do. I perform my duty, I go home and sleep. I passionately perform my duty and I go home and sleep peacefully. So these are two different things, that's the second aspect is what keeps us driving. Like I said, I've been with the bank for a very long time now, over a decade and a half. And for a decade almost, I was with consumer banking, which is very much revenue driven, very much business driven. However, this passion of doing something constructive, doing something not just for yourself, your family, and going out there and including a lot of other people in your growth story is what keeps us going. When I moved to the development sector, and when there are various organizations that come to us requesting support, and there are philosophies obviously that the bank has to run with in terms of what to support and what to kind of give it a miss. Sports has been one of our very, very strong commitments. In fact, internally in the organization, we also have a for sports vertical that drives our employees to come out, stay fit, support a sports cause. With the sports vertical, we have been able to convert a lot of employees out of their desk and get into the field. Now, in fact, with the Samarthanam, the conclave plus the matches as well, we encourage our employees to get their families to watch the game. That's how you will start encouraging and start appreciating on what is the other side of the world doing. We are all stuck with our mainstreaming, we are all stuck with our usual duties, that we just tend to fail and acknowledge the other side of the world, which of course is our world itself, it is not different. But we need constant reminder, we need constant reminder in terms of go support something that you've not done before. Now, until I had come into the development sector, and until I had actually got into the program of blind cricket, I myself wasn't aware of something like this. And the earlier panel that we were talking about in terms of journalism and inclusive sports. Inclusive sports was a known thing. However, yes, there was no print media. There was no media that covered it a lot. And then it becomes on a personal note and a personal interest on how do we take it forward. Like I said, for sports vertical, we support a lot of other sports programs which include a lot of PWDs, the people with disabilities. We support a lot of women in sports. Plus marginalized and underprivileged. So that's what keeps us going. And we are glad to be associated with Samarthanam for good 6-7 years now. We can proudly say we've been there, done that, seen how the revolution of blind cricket from where it was to where it is. And we are happy and proud partners and stakeholders in the game.
Thank you, really. I really appreciate that, and I hope that your leadership and enthusiasm in the CSR sector can be taken up by other corporates, and they can also see the value in supporting fantastic initiatives like Cabby. I think that the opportunity to play a sport for people with disability is very important. It's important for mental health. It's important for being part of a community. It's important for feeling some self-worth. And we thank you very much for you.
The ground actually is a school. The
Yes.
field is a school. You
Correct.
go out, you learn so many things. In fact, the teams that have come from the other parts of the world to India will learn so much about India and go back. So it's all about learning. Thanks.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. I would now like to use some of our other panel members, ask some of our other panel members here for their advice on what is happening in their countries. Very briefly, we are a little pressed on time. We'd like to give everyone a good chance to speak, but if you could just, I'll first turn to Pawan. Pawan, if you could just give us a quick snapshot of where things are at for blind cricket in Nepal and where you think things will be in the next 5 years. Thank you. There's a mic for Pawan.
Thank you, Moxley. It has almost been 16 years that we initiated cricket for the blind in Nepal. Since then, it has grown a lot. We have got around 600 visually impaired players, and we are also the one to form the cricket team of the blind women. Back in 2006, when we were promoting cricket for the male, we discovered that even the girls, they are showing the enthusiasm in playing cricket. Sitting outside the boundary, they were cheering up. They were so excited, and they were saying, and they were even expressing the dissatisfaction regarding for not them letting them to participate. I realized that wherever we are right now, and whatever we are doing right now, it's because of the woman. But when it comes for the empowerment of women, we always forget. Even within the community of blindness, women with blindness, they get lesser opportunity. Thinking that, everyone should get equal opportunity. Sports is not about male or female thing. It's about skill thing, and everyone should get the equal opportunity. A community without empowered women cannot lead forward. Thinking this, when I promoted cricket for the blind women in Nepal back in 2007, many people told me that when your boys' teams are not doing good, why are you thinking of promoting cricket for the women? And now, after 16 years, the same country has also promoted cricket for the blind women. Even the cricket, the women cricket that has started from small ground of Nepal is now being promoted by India, by Pakistan, West Indies, and I've also heard that Sri Lanka is just promoting, and even England has their own team, and Bangladesh is also trying to promote. Means the things start from small thing, but at least it is growing big, and I've really felt happy to see Sonu over here in the stage, because inclusion doesn't happen automatically. We need to create the sphere, and the sphere has been provided by every country. And today, when we are playing this World Cup, tomorrow the day will come when there will be World Cup of blind women as well.
Thank you, Pawan.
And coming to the stage, though since our country is a small country and we have got a lot of challenges, from geographical to economic and social challenges as well. But still, we're trying, and one day, the time will come, when this World Cup will really be, or the blind cricket will really be a good sport. It's because we play not to win or lose. We play only to defeat the disability inside us. Thank you.
Thanks, Pawan. We are running very close to the end of time, so Bhavani, I'll go to you, but could ask you to provide a brief snapshot on where things are at and where things are going in West Indies.
Thank you very much, Ray. Greetings, everyone. It's nice to be in India. I am the lonely boy from the West Indies, but I'm here and I'm appreciated, and I appreciate all the help that I'm getting from the various teams, officials, and players. Now, cricket in the West Indies, of course, the West Indies is not just one island or one country. The West Indies is a group of islands, so it's a little different. many of us talk about, and George and Mahantesh alluded to this, that cricket started in schools for the blind. Back in the 60s and 70s, we only had 2 schools for the blind in the West Indies. We had one in Jamaica, and we had one in Trinidad and Tobago. I was fortunate, being a Trinidadian, to attend the School for the Blind in Trinidad and Tobago. And we chose every opportunity and every moment to play cricket, from the corridors of the school where we broke the bulbs to the savannah where we played real cricket. I mean, it was not professionally taught as it is now, but we played and we loved it. Of course, radio commentary has had a serious positive impact on our love and appreciation of the game of cricket in the West Indies. In 2003, sorry, after the formation of World Blind Cricket Council in 1996 or thereabouts, the team then mandated certain individuals to come to the West Indies to introduce blind cricket. And
Bhavani, we have about 2 or 3 minutes. And I need
okay,
to
no
jump on
problem,
as well,
no problem. Yeah, so by 2005, we established the West Indies Cricket Council for the Blind, and whilst we have been going through a little bit of rough waters these days, I am optimistic as the administrator that we will solve those problems and we will come back strong. True enough, we had some problems coming here, but from 2023 and beyond, we're going to be looking better and bigger. I want to say that my dream, my goal, is to invite the world to the West Indies in 2026, be the good Lord willing, at the Christian World. Pardon?
Thank you, Bhavani. Thank you very much. And now I'd like to ask John David. We've given you very little time, John David, so if you could just briefly speak about your role as Global Development Director and where you see blind cricket expanding to next.
Yeah, thank you, Moxley. Actually, as we all know, we have 10 member countries in the World Blind Cricket Limited. As George mentioned in his early speech that there were 7 teams, then later on, Nepal, Bangladesh and West Indies got added. And also we heard from Dr. Mantesh also that he was telling again that we have the request from the Afghanistan and also from the Iran. And apart from that, we are also having the request from the UAE. They are also so much interested to develop cricket. And also we promote the cricket in Bahrain in 2015. And also in 2019, we are taking this blind cricket to USA. We attend the convention of the National Federation of the Blind United States. Myself, Dr. Mantesh and Chandrasekhar went to US and we visited a lot of cities. We went to New York and Boston. We met many clubs and also we missed meeting the USA cricket that time because we heard that out of the 11 members in the USA cricket, 9 are from India. And that was a good thing to hear. And out of the 9, again 7 were from Karnataka. So that was a good thing. So since we belong to Karnataka state, so we met some people, the director, Mr. Aziz Shetty and all, they told any possible support we are ready to help and we want to develop blind cricket in America. And that was the challenge taken by Dr. Mantesh told. And we had a plan to go to Canada also, but this year I was discussing with Dr. Mantesh a few days before only, that this year again we'll go to USA to develop cricket and also Canada will touch this time. That is one. And also about the development, actually 2 years before the COVID, we invited 4 players from Afghanistan where Samatram took care the entire expense of the 4 players, bringing them by flight, and 1 month we gave the training for them and they went back and they are forming a blind cricket team. They registered with their country registration. So like that, and also now we are also planning to develop globally, since before I was being the Global Development Director for World Blind Cricket, we also promoted, because Dr. Mantesh was telling, not only that India and Pakistan are the pioneers of cricket, but we should develop other countries also. We shared whatever we know from India. We went to Nepal, I think Pawan, we came in 2016, and we went, myself and the former coach of India, Sajju Kumar, we went there and we had a coaching around for 15 to 20 days, Pawan. Yeah, so that time, and it was a very good training for them. We went to Bangladesh, myself and Ajay Reddy, we both went and we stayed for 20 days. That was just, COVID started just before that, 2019, I think we went in October. So we were there for 20 days, and this team, we only selected the team. They gave the full authority to select the Bangladesh team. So Ajay selected the team actually, and they went to New Zealand and they beat New Zealand. They clean sweep New Zealand by 5-0 that time. And so that was the thing which we are started developing, and also we are ready to support, like as Dr. Mantesh told, that Samadhan Kabi will be always ready to help any country, not only with the game, also with the financial support also, because we wanted to, we tried bringing West Indies so badly. Actually, it was our try. Mr. Mantesh also tried that we'll speak to them, but in the end, it was very short time, because we got the notice only just maybe a month before starting the World Cup. So a lot of developments are happening in cricket, and also Moxley and me are in regular touch with all the countries. We are working on that. Hope the world cricket will go very long way.
Thank you, John David. In conclusion, I'd like to thank all of our panellists for being involved today. I'd like to make some special notes though. George, your faxes that you sent that day, was it 93, I think you said?
93 or 94, yeah.
Yes, those faxes changed so many lives across the world. I don't think you could have an understanding of that. They changed my life. I reflect on my life as a young child. I felt very different to everyone else. I was the only person that I knew with a disability. It was actually, unfortunately, George did mention in the speech the name Trevor Vero. Trevor Vero was, along with Peter Donovan and another blind cricketer, came to my school and spoke to me about blind cricket. I'd never heard of that sport before. That was when I was 14. That opportunity for them to come and speak was life-changing for me. I suddenly found a community where I was an equal. I felt a great deal of self-worth through playing blind cricket, and I felt sameness. I felt very excluded before then, but I suddenly found something that I could contribute and participate in equally. So George, you didn't do that introduction, but what you did was provide a world stage for people like myself, and I've had this wonderful experience, and I've found my love for India through blind cricket. So thank you very much for that. They were well spent faxes. I appreciate you doing that. Really, your company's support of initiatives like this, it helps change lives. It gives the opportunity to people that I don't think that we can adequately put into words how big a difference that makes. So thank you very much for the work you do.
Thank you, Raymond, and we ensure that we continue supporting these initiatives. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mahentesh, you need to keep that fire burning. You are an inspiration to so many people, and we are forever grateful for the opportunity you continue to provide for us. So thank you.
Raymond, one sentence, can I?
Well,
one sentence.
Yes, sure.
I think blind cricket has come a long way. It'll be wrong for us to say that, we haven't progressed. I think there's a lot of progress. And I think we should give ourselves a big hand. However, the journey ahead is still extremely long. The summit is pretty high. And I think we just need to journey along, and with the belief that we will get there one day.
So with the passion you all run, I'm sure you'll get there one day.
Thank you very much. And we'll conclude with those words. Thank you very much.
And it's a never-ending trip, so we all should be always moving along and adding people along, adding countries along, and continue to travel together and enjoy the travel, achieve as much as we can to our common interest and to our community.
Thank you. Please put your hands together for our panellists today.
Thank you so much, everyone. May I please request our team to get the mementos onto the dais, please. Mr. E. John David, Director, Global Development, WBC, and General Secretary, CABI, to kindly present mementos to Mr. Bhavani Prasad, First Vice President, WBC. Thank you, sir. And also to Pawan Ghimre, Director Finance, WBC. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Thank you so much, ma'am. May I please request you to occupy your seats amongst the audience?